Hey guys, Level Cap here, and today in gaming, the World War III versus Battlefield discussion heats up. Warzone's developers went on strike, early reviews of Halo Infinite are in, and much more. It's a wild time for the Call of Duty franchise. The big Vanguard update for Warzone is just days away, but Warzone's lead studio, Raven Software, is in turmoil. News broke over the weekend that Raven's parent company, Activision Blizzard, was laying off 1/3 of the studio's QA team. In response, the entire QA team is striking today. Raven is holding meetings with employees until the 8th, letting them know whether they're getting laid off or promoted to a full-time position. These QA testers were contract workers, which means they're essentially freelancing for Raven and might end up getting hired by the studio. Unfortunately, it's very typical for a studio to fire its contract workers once the project that they're hired for is finished. However, in this case, employees say that Raven and Activision had promised to increase the QA team's pay as part of its restructuring. That promise was made for months, only for these layoffs to happen instead. One contractor who had been laid off told the Washington Post that they feel hurt and betrayed. Activision Blizzard recently announced a massive expansion to support the blow-up success of Call of Duty Warzone. That expansion involves hiring thousands of new employees, opening new studios, moving existing studios onto the franchise, and more. It's never a good look to fire a ton of employees while also hiring a ton more at the same time. QA is a weird environment though, since you're only needed for a certain period of time and then you're either repurposed or moved to a different project or let go. It's certainly a tumultuous time for Activision Blizzard. They're currently defending themselves from one of the more significant workplace harassment lawsuits in game industry history. The controversy surrounding these issues has stirred a hornet's nest of public opinion and internet outcry. Thousands of Activision Blizzard employees are demanding CEO Bobby Kotick's resignation. The heads of Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo have all publicly announced their relationship with Activision is at a crossroads, and it appears that many players are torn between playing the games they love without supporting a company that failed to intervene when its own employees were begging executives to do something about toxic workplace culture and harassment. As for that Vanguard Warzone update, the roadmap is now live and it includes tons of content. There's a lot to look forward to for players, but there's also some controversial additions like a perk that reduces the damage you take while sprinting. The update goes live on the 9th. The World War III closed beta has been available for a little over a week now. The developers did a veteran alpha at the end of September, and while it's a massive step in the right direction, there was a lot of room for improvement. So far, the feedback from players regarding the closed beta has been fairly positive, but again, it's clear the developers still have plenty of work to do. They released a statement saying that they're working on audio issues, level design, stats, the inventory system, and more. The most recent update for the beta launch was a few days ago. It addressed server crashes, matches not starting, stats not working, and login issues. Perhaps the more interesting thing about World War III's closed beta is that many players are saying despite its problems, this is what Battlefield 2042 should have been. And despite World War III being a very small player population indie title, it is a grounded tactical shooter that offers a somewhat comparable experience to the Battlefield franchise, just on a smaller scale. Both games are competing for the same audience, and World War III originally launched when Battlefield players were longing for the franchise to return to its modern military roots. With 2042 creating such divisive reviews from players and critics, it seems like the opportunity for World War III to shine has once again landed in the game's lap. 2042's cosmetics and general tone have drawn a lot of scrutiny from players who expected a more mature and post-apocalyptic game. World War III is a game set during, well, World War III, and despite its technical issues, it has the fundamentals of a solid Battlefield-like experience and looks like you'd expect a game called World War III to look. It's just missing the content and polish that a game aspiring to try and out-Battlefield might need. Unfortunately, based on the Steam charts data for World War III, it doesn't look like the closed beta is leading to a growth in player count. Since launch, it's been slowly declining, and many players are concerned about the game's bugs, progression, and impeding free-to-play launch. World War III's original launch in 2018 was a mess, and there was the promise of a brighter future. Fast forward several years later, and while it's still an improved experience, it's not quite there yet. In so many ways, the story of World War III has been a series of missed opportunities that players probably would be more accepting of if the game didn't wear its Battlefield aspirations on its chest. But that's where I'd like to hear from you guys. Do you think there's any hope left for World War III? Do you think DICE will manage to get 2042 on track with players' expectations? Do you think World War III represents the direction that 2042 should have gone? Let me know in the comments below. Halo Infinite's campaign launches in 2 days and early reviews are mostly positive. Some complain about a repetitive mission structure and half-baked campaign storyline, but most highlight the game's exceptional open sandbox gameplay and commitment to the franchise's legacy. Infinite's developer 343 had made a big show about returning to the franchise's roots that they had previously strayed so far from with Halo 4 and 5. To their credit, the beta launch of Infinite's multiplayer has been a massive success. There is, of course, tons of controversy surrounding its cosmetic and battle pass system that we'll get into shortly, but the gameplay itself has been praised almost universally. By all accounts, Halo Infinite is a return to form for the franchise that might feel somewhat outdated by other games. And again, to Microsoft and 343's credit, they have said Infinite will be the main Halo game for the next 10 years. So future updates and expansions will probably flesh out both the game's campaign and multiplayer with more diversity and complexity. Regarding the here and now though, players on social media are very frustrated with the multiplayer's grindy progression and lack of free cosmetics. And certainly their complaints are justified, and the developers have announced significant changes are in the works, but the tone of the conversation turned toxic enough that at least the game's subreddit got temporarily locked over the weekend to give fans a chance to cool down. Since the subreddit had resumed submissions, the conversation has remained focused on the multiplayer cosmetics and developer statements regarding some accusations thrown around by users. However, things are certainly much calmer than they were last week. Fortnite's Chapter 3 update is live. It adds tons of new content, gameplay mechanics, and more. And while we won't expect you guys to be super interested in the new content, what we think might be pretty interesting is that the game now runs on Epic's cutting-edge Unreal Engine 5. The new engine has some insane technical elements poised to massively expand the size and scope of what the average developer can do. Unreal Engine 5 offers native ray tracing, enhanced traditional lighting systems, a dynamic level of detail system that essentially allows for infinite complexity, larger level streaming support, and more. On top of that, it also integrates with Epic's other tools like the MetaHuman Character Creator and their performance capture utilities. In a nutshell, Unreal Engine 5 is a gigantic leap forward for developers. Fortnite is the first major Unreal Engine 5 title to the market. As for what players can actually expect from the upgrade right now, it's mostly better performance and slightly enhanced visuals. But the move to Unreal Engine 5 opens the doors for future Fortnite updates, massively expanding the game in new and exciting ways. Stalker 2's Xbox store page has been updated with an install size, and folks with slow internet have been dealt another blow. The game will eat up approximately 180 gigabytes at launch, and that's a lot considering that the largest Xbox Series console currently maxes out at 1 terabyte. You can expand that with an additional 1 terabyte of external storage, but considering most big budget titles these days are clocking in at around 100 gigabytes, you'll be lucky to fit more than a dozen games on your console without the expanded storage. Stalker 2 launches at the end of April next year, presumably as a temporary Xbox exclusive. PlayStation's Vice President of Engineering has been fired following a video revealing him allegedly engaging in pedophile activity. The VP, George Cachopo, is shown in a video recently uploaded by the YouTube channel People vs. Preds, allegedly waiting to meet a 15-year-old boy. And that 15-year-old boy was actually just the people running the YouTube channel who posed as a minor as part of an amateur sting operation to catch the VP. They attempted to confront him in the video and allegedly have chat logs and images corroborating their claims. They say the police have been notified, but aside from the VP being fired, there's been no official action taken against him yet. Now, before we get to our final story today, I just wanted to say thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your continued support, and if you want to be notified of any new content coming around, be sure to subscribe and click that notification button. Nvidia have canceled the Founders Edition of their upcoming RTX 2060 12GB GPU. It was launching tomorrow, that is until today. Nvidia's website had a Founders Edition for the card listed in addition to third-party models that will be available at launch. Their official statement to tech outlets is just that it won't be launching. That change was likely due to supply issues, but at the moment they're just leaving the news up to speculation. And that wraps it up for today in gaming. As always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.